this is Sunava.
And this is Johannes.
And you are watching Board Gaming Ramblings.
And welcome back to Topical Ramblings, where we talk about different topics that we want to ramble on about. This is basically a continuation of our last video we did on paid content and previews. Today we're going to talk about other things that are big in the content creation hobby, lurking around, and some people might find this video unnecessary, but we just want to talk about it because we find it interesting and would like to share our thoughts on it, which is basically why we make all videos that we make, is to share what we think about stuff, mostly board games and board game related things. Today, yes, you were taking over and I was trying to not do it, so we continue.
I just think that openness and transparency in these topics are important to see if our channel is the correct one for you.
So remember that everything we say in this video is a lie.
Yeah.
No way. No, it's not. That's the other thing. So today, that was a very good transition to talk about what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about honesty.
Yes.
We're talking about why many reviews are positive.
Yep.
We're talking about hype. And we're talking a bit about bias.
Yes.
A lot of topics into one video, so we're going to try to keep it under half an hour and see how it goes.
Yes.
So some topics we might talk like deeper about, some might be like just some comments here and there. If you have any questions how we do stuff, just let us know in the comments and we will answer. Let's start talking about honesty.
Yep.
Lately there has been kind of people murmuring that, oh, reviewers and content creators are not honest, they're bought and they don't say their meaning and stuff like that. As in the last video, we cannot talk for anyone but ourselves because we don't know what's going on inside the brain of anyone else. So let's start by talking a bit about why people think that.
Yes, and the reasons for not being honest.
Yes, that people come up with.
Is that you get free games. So then you want to continue to get free games.
Yeah.
You want to maintain a positive relationship with the publishers, which equals free games.
Yes, and that is basically kind of the main reason I'm seeing. And of course, paid stuff as well.
Yes.
But that is a completely different category of things because it makes no sense to make a negative video that you got paid for, and we talk more about that in the other video. So let's talk about and we're gonna talk more about like the free game stuff in the bias section of the video. But for me, like the big thing, and I haven't asked to quote it, so I'm not gonna say who said it, but it was a really nice thing said in a discussion about this, and that is there's no like hidden agenda, there's no conspiracy theory trying to trick people into buying bad games.
No, and in which case we're not a part of it.
No,
we haven't heard about
we haven't got included in that money-making scheme.
We haven't got that memo.
People, because that makes no sense.
No.
Like there's so many games coming out each year, and so many of them are horrible. And most of them you're not going to see people talk about. And there's really, like, I cannot fathom, like, the thing that people think that you are lying to make people buy a game. So let's just briefly about, like, this is not a bias stuff. Let's talk about, like, the continuing to get free games. Because, of course, getting a free game is a perk. Whatever I'm going to say, like whatever, because I said in the last video, and I stand by that's not like I don't mind paying for a game. Doesn't bother me at all. But a free game is obviously a perk. What I had to say is that any good company is not going to stop sending you a game they think you will like if you didn't like their last game. Because, of course, if somebody has a party game for 8 to 10 people about drinking alcohol and being rude, they might not send it to us.
Don't do it.
Because
Don't send it to us.
Probably have a bias against that and probably not going to like that game.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really make sense. Let's say a company, I'm not going to name any companies, but let's say company A send us a game that they think we will like, and most of the time we probably would like that game. But then we ended up giving it, for example, a 5 or a 6. Then the next time they make a game which fits perfectly for us, it doesn't really make sense for them to not send it to us if they enjoy what we do. Like, it's all about, all of that stuff is more important. And I think honesty, very many companies really appreciates honesty.
Yes, because they also see the value in that if we are highlighting some negatives for us, other people might find that information really useful, and that might be a positive to them. Maybe not like bad components and stuff. I don't know.
I hate
who's gonna love that. But like in general, a lot of information out there is really good for your company.
And also the fact that like few games we play are bad.
Yes. We are specifically trying to play good games.
Yes, because there's so many games and we cannot play them all. We're going to talk more about that pretty soon. Just one thing that's kind of like a pet peeve of me is that every time we make a review and other people make negative reviews, and not going to name any like names, you always get these comments like, thank you for the honesty, thank you for being brave and honest and stuff like that. And we never got that on a positive review.
No.
Because positive reviews aren't truthful.
Well,
I don't know.
I kind of get it because it takes more of you to say a bad thing about the game than a positive about a game. I feel like it costs more of me to say negative stuff than to say positive stuff. And it is like that for humans all across the line. In real life, we find it much more easier to agree with someone than to take a stand and disagree. So I feel like it's a valid point to say thank you for highlighting these negative things, but I hope that the people making those comments doesn't think that we are lying when we are making positive reviews.
No, because
I hope so.
When we make
that is not the case.
Positive review, it's because we like the game.
Yes.
Not because we're lying. So basically, like the conclusion of this, we're going to go to the next topic of honesty, is basically you need to find people that you enjoy and to find people that align with your tastes.
Yes, and we try to make a balanced review, I think you should search for reviewers that make a balanced review, just not like all positive, not all negative, to see like both sides of things.
Yeah, but many reviews we do, I'm like, when I'm writing notes for it, I'm like, okay, what is it negative to say here? Like, there's some, maybe there would be like a small thing, but it's not really a point to have a lot of negative points just to have them there. Which, you don't need that, and so many reviews end up maybe feeling even more positive because of that.
That's true.
But it's really like, I don't like try to find something just to find a negative thing. It's not that all reviews need to have that negative. It might just be like, hopefully the reviews we make gives you a feeling of if this might be for you or not. And that is basically the only thing we try to do the review. It's not like if I give the game an 8, you need to buy it.
No.
Because that's not how it works.
Yes.
Let's briefly talk a bit about why many reviews are positive.
Yes, and it's a little because...
This has been talked about a lot. We just wanted to like share our thoughts.
Yeah, have it all in one video is nice anyways. We do this as a hobby, and most reviewers do.
Yes.
So we want to spend our time playing good games. We don't want to play bad games because this is our hobby. So we want to have a good time.
Yeah, so like many games that, like, if we play a truly horrible game, we probably might not review it, and because different reasons. Like, one reason is the times that we do. The times that we, for example, we did True Legend. We made a very negative review of that, and I think like the reason, the times that we do make these kind of more negative reviews is for games that you have heard about. It's for hot games. It's things that, because we enjoy people watching our videos, so it makes no sense if we play a small little game that nobody has heard about that was horrible, it makes no sense to make a review of that and put it out and 50 people are going to watch it. Because that's what's going to happen, because you never heard about the game and you're like, oh, it's a negative review, why do I need to, this game is bad, why do I need to watch this review? While playing or doing like these reviews for smaller games that we really enjoyed does make sense.
Yes. Also because when we review games, we spend more time playing them. So if we don't have fun with a little bad game, I don't want to play it anymore.
Yes.
Because I don't like it. But say we play a really nice, smaller game that we are excited about, we want to play that more, and we are also excited to share with you that, hey, this is something that you should check out. Yeah.
So that's kind of like the small reason why probably if you go and look through all our reviews, many more of them have like a positive, like, a feeling about them, because we want to play fun games and all this is a hobby. In that kind of same thing, let's talk about hype.
Yeah.
Because things are getting hyped, and let's not talk too much like about Kickstarter hype, because that's like another kind of thing with the pre-launch hype and all of that. And let's talk a bit about, like, we probably end up hype being in, like, if a lot of people like a game and a lot of reviewers talk a lot about the game, probably people are going to be hyped up about it because people care about the meanings of others. And so many people saying, like, this is kind of my in to this topic, is that, for example, we played Federation, give it a 10 out of 10 and be like, oh, we love this game, and then we might not play it for 5 years.
Yes.
But it's still a game I really still stand by what I said. And people are like, oh, but you played that a year ago and loved it, and now you never play it again, and now you never talk about it, and stuff like that. These are comments that are coming in this kind of, oh, but you hyped it up, and then it died. And as I said before, we do not play board games like normal people.
No.
And I would guess that most reviewers do not.
No, we play games specifically for reviews or the wish of making content, and then we move on because there is new games. We have to keep track on what is coming out to be relevant for people. Yeah,
and it's kind of like, as I said, we play something new, we get like, wow, this is the most amazing thing ever, play it 4 times, put it on a shelf, and then be like, oh, never gonna play that again. So you cannot really use reviews to know...
Our reviews.
Yeah, and I would say most reviews.
I think so.
To know if a game is gonna be fun after you play it 10, 15, 20 times. Because we cannot play a game 10, 15, 20 times before we review it, and we don't have time to play it continue playing it even though we really liked it.
Yes.
I think like Cult of the New.
Yeah.
That is a thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like Keep or Cult is like a great kind of counterpoint to that, and I see like many people are more and more enjoying like finding the great games from 10, 15 years ago, but new games are still coming out, and I love Keep or Cult for that because we get a balance, both in our play life but also in the channel. But I love a new game.
Yes, you have always been searching for new stuff. And I felt like even before we started the channel, even before we started reviews, you were always chasing the next new game. And you've always been like that, I feel like.
Yeah, I always liked exploring. Before we started reviewing stuff, I didn't really care about when the game came out. It was more like, oh, this new game Rollo talked about, or this new game Tom talked about, or this new game on BGG, or this thing, oh, top 10 of these kind of games. And always like exploring, and that is kind of, but now the way we explore is kind of playing the new thing. And also because the more we play, the more of the great games from the last 10, 15 years we have already played. So I always I'm not like chasing a new high, that's not kind of what we do, but it's basically a great excuse for me to need to play all these new games because we have the channel, so that it makes sense to play the new games. And right now we have quite a few new games, and I have to choose like which of these do we want to review, which of these do we just want to play for fun, and which of these are going to probably be on the shelf for another year before we get to play them. But what I'm trying to say basically, this is about hype, and I absolutely get hyped for games. And when I do, I try to, like, when I get hyped for a game after I played it, I will talk about it and I will be hyped about it, and I will say, like, I will try to say that if you like the same kind of stuff that we do, if you have watched more than 5, 6, 7, 10, 15, 20, 100 videos of ours, you probably know what kind of games we like. That's not the same as saying you will love this game, but it's saying that if you enjoy kind of the same kind of games we do, there's a high chance that you will enjoy this game. And it's kind of, I don't know. Do you?
We get excited and we want to share it with people. So because it's a hobby, basically.
Yeah, and hype. Let's talk about a little bit about hype, because hype is kind of said to be a negative thing.
Hype.
And then people get super hyped up, and it's hard then when, let's say, I'm super duper excited to play this game, and it's hard then to meet those expectations. So I never, like, the first time I play a game I'm super hyped about, it can go either way. But I'm always trying, and this is like one of the most hard things for me to do. You are really not almost never that hyped about the game.
No, because you are doing all the research. So when a game hits our table, I don't know the rules. You have read them. You teach it to me, and I have very few expectations going into it. But I will say that I get hyped for example, I've heard different mechanisms that really click with me, or I know that, oh, this is from a designer that I've enjoyed work for before, then I get really hyped. And that might be a bias, actually. If the same game was produced, like, not from Vital Lacerda, would I enjoy it that much? Or do I enjoy it just because it's Vital, but he's doing amazing stuff? But that is also interesting, though.
Yeah, but let's, for example, take Federation. We just heard the game was good.
Yeah.
Nothing more, really. I didn't know anything about it. And it's nearly a perfect game. Like that. Yeah. And I don't care who made it. I don't know the designers. I think, like, it's the first design they did. And so I think that, like, to answer to your question, I think, like, it's even...
And we paid full price for that game also. Just
so you know.
It was damaged, so I got a discount.
But I think that that's kind of like a designer bias.
Yes.
We're going to talk about bias right now. Let's do it. Let's talk about bias. Bias is a base. It's a hard word. Can you describe what is bias?
What is bias?
What is bias? Baby, don't hurt me.
It's a factor that is there that will influence your opinion or your decision about a thing. It can be a positive bias or a negative bias.
But do
Look
you
it up
know?
in the dictionary.
Do you know, like, the dictionary definition of bias?
No. Why would I?
No. I was just wondering if you knew. But yeah, basically, as you said, like, there is something in the way of you being completely objective about something.
Yeah, and I feel like as a human being in general, we have biases every single day towards everything in our life. It's hard to go in a world with all these things around us not being colored by them and change our view based on what is around us. If you're not living under a rock, you have bias in your life. But let's talk about board game related biases.
Yes, let's do it. First off, we're going to talk about a few different ones. Let's first talk about the bias against or for, as I said, like mechanisms or publishers or designers. For example, I am not a huge fan of co-op games. So every time I sit down to play a co-op game, I'm a bit negative about it. And I know that, and I think it's important to know your biases so that you can kind of try to look past them. But it's harder for if I sit down and play a worker placement game, I'm starting at a positive side.
Yes.
And so when I play a co-op game, I'm like, this is a co-op game, probably going to be super boring. And then if it's not boring, I'm going to be like, wow, it's even better. And probably I get even more excited about it. But the fact that I don't like them usually is a bias.
Yeah, it is. And that also is important for you to know when you're watching our channel. And we try to say it also in reviews. Let's say we are reviewing a co-op game. You then will say, I'm not usually into co-op games. And you have to know that to know if the reviews will have, what kind of meaning it will have for you personally.
And I think that that's an important thing. That is kind of like the small things, the thing that you'll learn when you watch us. And then we have kind of like the two other big biases.
Yes.
Which is, the first one is relationship bias. And the other one is kind of, I have called it when I've written down, free game bias.
Yes.
Let's start talking about relationship bias.
Yes, I feel like this is the biggest one for many reviewers, and I think also us. And I think it's very hard to be completely free of it when you're in such a small industry that the board game are. But basically that means that can we be friends with publishers and designers and still review their games completely unbiased?
I think fair we can.
Yes, but
unbiased we cannot.
No.
And I think it's important, like and it's kind of for me, it goes over a line, and then I feel like I need to say it. For example, every time we review something from Aporta Games, I have to tell you that we know these people.
We are friends with these people.
But if you go and check the reviews we made for Aporta Games, you're going to see that we have treated them almost the same as we treat everything else. And it's kind of like I'm doing my completely best to treat it exactly the same as a game from somebody I never knew, a publisher I never spoke to. But the only thing we can do is basically let you know it's there. And I can be aware of it, and I can try my best. Like, I think Alex from Board Game Co., like in his, I think he did a recent one, but like his first video about bias, he was like, have I given a game like a 3.5, which would have been a 3? And I think he said like, yes, I have probably done that, but I don't, it's hard to pinpoint it. It's hard to be like, oh, it's because of that, or it's because of that. But for example, let's take Revive from last year, which I gave a 10 out of 10, and you gave a 9 out of 10.
9.5?
No, a 9 out of 10, I think. And I am 99% sure I would have given that no matter who made the game. Because when I sit down and play the game, I don't really think about knowing the designer.
No.
I'm not sitting thinking, oh, Christian did this, or Eilif kind of did this thing. I don't think about that when I play the game. When I play the game, I'm like, okay, this is a great game. And then I'm like, oh, it's cool that I know these people because they made this great game.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I'm doing my absolute best to differentiate. Do you agree?
I agree.
Sorry, I'm babbling.
I think that you just have to decide if you think that we are a channel that you can trust. But I think, as you said, we are not perfect, but we are trying to be. We are striving to be the most objective and unbiased as we can. But with relationship bias in such a small industry, that is hard to be completely unbiased, but we are trying.
Okay, so let's talk about free game bias.
Yes.
This is one that, if you have like decided your case on it, you're probably never going to go the other way. But it's one that's hard. I think it's very hard because it's kind of. I was taking Aeon Trespass. I was lifting that big box up the stairs so we could play it, and I was thinking, okay. Would I feel differently about picking this game up, playing this game, if I paid $0 or if I paid $250? And okay, I think this is a very hard one because let's put it it's kind of like many people also say that when you pay $200 for something, you have a stronger bias towards liking it.
Yes.
And that is kind of like, I feel it's so funny because I feel like people are going both ways on this, because when somebody puts a Kickstarter game and it's rising on Board Game Geek, people are like, oh, it's all the fanboys on Kickstarter who rated it high because they paid a lot of money for it and had to like it. But then they also don't like us playing the game and not paying for it and talking about it. So it's kind of like a both sides of the coin is biased in a way.
Yes, and I think that it's hard to decide which one is more biased, because I think it goes either way. But it's been a lot of research on this field that if you pay something for it, you will have a higher chance of finding it appealing than if you get something for free. That is really interesting.
So can I just snap in a small story? 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I ran a stand-up club. And there was a lot of talk in the stand-up community then in Norway about there was like one place in a city that did free stand-up. And people like smaller spaces as well, but there's like a big space that is free stand-up, free entry. And people are like, that is stupid. Because when you pay that, let's say you pay $5 or $10 to get in, you are much more likely to laugh. Because you have invested something in it and you need it to be worth that investment. If I invest nothing in it and I go in and I sit down and be like, oh, this is not funny, I'm not gonna laugh about that. Of course, it's different when you get the product for free.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I haven't read up on this, but I think that it goes either way. Sometimes you can be biased because you got a game for free, or sometimes you can be biased because you paid a lot of money for it. It might be influential. I must say that I have no control of what you have paid for and not, because I don't have contact with the publishers.
That's kind of good.
I seldom know which games we have gotten for free and which one we have paid for. We try to disclose that in the beginning of review, but I have basically made up my mind before we start filming.
This is one. It's one of you just have to take my word on. I know it's kind of a bias. And we talked about the honesty part of it. It's not, we talk negative about games we got for free. We talk negative about games we bought on Kickstarter. And we talk negative about games that we bought in retail. But I do my absolute best. I'm going to say this now, and you might believe me or not, but I don't care where the game came from. It's a game. And sometimes we get to play games that we never would have bought because we get it for free. That is kind of like that's like the perk for me. I wouldn't have bought this game, now I got it and I really liked it. Or I bought this game, now I got it, it was fine. We played it, we might talk about it or not. And I'm pretty sure that like 95% about that bias, I don't really care.
No,
because I am just happy having the game, playing the game, and if I like it, I like it. If I don't like it, I don't like it. It's, let's say like Alex said, like, might it be a 6.5 instead of a 6 if we got it for free, or we know the designer, or we have a good relationship? Maybe. I don't know. But I might have done that. I might have skewed it like a half a point or a point. But that's not really the point of this. It's basically what's in there. Like the review score at the end, that's not the end all done all. That's just like the point. Like if it's a big difference between a 2 and an 8, but like a 7.5 and an 8, that's kind of just like a thing that happens in my brain. It's kind of like a small thing like that. So just, we try to tell you if we have a personal relationship with the people who made the game, or if we got it for free.
Yes.
And when you know that, and you know what we said here, I hope that is enough to basically know how to take the things we're saying.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to quote Flight of the Conchords here on the last end of this video. A kiss is not a contract, but it's very nice. And it's the same with review copies.
Yes.
It's not a contract, but it's very nice.
And that is the end of this video. If you enjoyed us rambling about this topic, or you enjoy other videos that we do and you haven't yet given us a victory point, then you can do so, because it's very, very easy for you and it's a big deal for us. How do you do that? Let us know. Sunniva.
You give us victory points when you click that subscribe button down there, so make sure to click it and click the bell button, get notifications every time we post a new video.
And that is the end of this video right here. I'm Johannes.
I'm Sunniva.
And you've been watching Board Gaming Ramblings, and bye bye.